Some of you viewers have been complaining I don't have much action in my videos, so before we start this Buick test, here's a few clips of action for you. Enjoy. So just when I'm settling down for a nice midnight meal, I just heard a big explosion outside my house. Shook the whole roof, so I better go outside and see what's going on. Yep, someone ran into the wall of the house and...
They left.
Well, that doesn't look good for him. Airbag went off. Looks like I'm going to need a new fence and a new wall. Well, it's Saturday night. What do you expect? Poor wall. Poor airbag. Right, our garage and test facility. Let's see what we're rolling out today. Well, finally I get a Buick. Haven't had one in 7 years. I called GM and said, hey, why don't you send me one? And they did. So here we are. It's called a Buick Envision SUV. And here's the rear view. It says Envision on the left. And Avenir, is that how that's pronounced? I don't know. There's how it's spelled. Figure it out for yourself. Now, there are still a lot of people out there who will never ever own an import car. Although most Japanese and many European cars are made in the United States now by American workers. They don't seem to realize that. But they wouldn't have a problem going down and buying Buick, because that's a good American name, right? Well, here's where it's made, folks. China, 94%. Yep. Now, there is a good reason for this. Buick's a very popular brand in China, one of the best sellers over there. So it's a lot easier just to pluck a car off the assembly line there and ship it over here than build a plant over here and send them over there. That's why it's made in China. Since we have the window sticker, the base price of an Envision runs around $32,000. This one's loaded up with a lot of stuff. That's not yen or yang or wong, that's US dollars, $45,305. $495 for the black metallic paint. Wow. The first thing I want to do when I get a vehicle is to check and see if there's a spare tire, especially if it's an SUV. Yep. Got one. So if we go off-roading, we'll at least be able to get out if we get a flat. And the second thing we want to do is take these headlights out in the dark and see how they work. There's some bulbs in there somewhere. Okay, it's dark enough. Let's see what these lights do. Looks like we got 2 bulbs in there. And here we have the low beams on a wall 33 yards away, which is around 100 feet. Nice and bright, good height. Go to high beam. Very bright. I don't know what this flickering is on the camera. I don't see it in person. Maybe it's the ghost. This used to be a church. Maybe there's a cemetery back there. And here's what the rear view camera looks like at night. The quality is a lot better in person than what you're seeing on my cheap camera that I'm holding in my hand. Actually looks pretty nice. And I see the headlights do swivel with the steering wheel, which comes in handy when taking corners on mountain roads. And here we have the brights on a fence 80 yards away, the building 130 yards away. And these brights are doing a very good job. Go to low beam. Again, pretty good. Under the hood is a small 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo, putting out 228 horsepower. Hooked to a 9-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is rated 24 in the city, 31 on the highway, and 26 overall. We're going to take this out in the real world to see if that's really true. And this is the only engine available For 45 grand, you think there'd be an upgrade, but nope, this is it. Also, for the price, I would think I'd get all-wheel drive. This is front-wheel drive, two-wheel drive only. This is a very well-designed interior. It certainly looks nice, so let's take a closer peek. For starters, we get push buttons for the transmission shifting, which I prefer. Far superior to a stick. Stick takes up room, this doesn't. Stick, you have to take your eyes off the road to watch. This you don't, you go by feel. And on a stick, you have to push it in park before you turn the vehicle off. Here it goes into park automatically when you turn the vehicle off. The push button system is far superior to anything else, and we'll be seeing more of these on vehicles in the future, as we should. The only problem I have with the shifter is the chrome coating on the park button. At certain times of the day, certain angles of the sun, you get this reflection going right in your eyeball, blinding you. Very annoying. The climate controls are very simple to use. The info screen is large enough, very simple to use. The clarity on the camera system is absolutely superb. Someone did a good job here. A very large glove box. All of these so-called safety nannies can be easily disconnected on the menu, thank you. There's also a program in here that will not let you drive the car unless the seatbelt is fastened. That's easily disconnected. So if you're trying to drive your car without your seatbelt, it doesn't move. No problem. Just get in and click delete. And these leather seats definitely look nice, and they're very comfortable too. Unusual on a GM car, a lot of times they cut corners on their seats, but not here. The gauge cluster is well designed, very easy to read, gives lots of useful information. While this gauge cluster is basically good design, it does have one flaw, and that's this plastic cover they put on, as many car manufacturers do. And here's the problem with that. Right now we're in the shade. Now that was the gauge cluster in the shade where you can see it. Go out in the sun at certain times of the day, get this glare. Not a deal killer, just annoying. I wish car makers would stop putting these plastic covers on here. It's very annoying. I do have an issue with this door design. You notice how it's totally vertical on the bottom, but it slants over to the right. That means the top of the door comes right towards your face, and in the daytime, no big deal. You just move out of the way so you don't get smacked in the face. But several years ago, I drove a vehicle with the exact same door design. I don't remember what it was. I think it was a Mazda or something. In any case, it was very dark at night. I couldn't see anything. I was in a hurry. I got called into work. Opened the door in a hurry and got smacked right in the face. So it can happen. I won't do it again, though. I learned my lesson once. And yes, I know you're smart. It's not going to happen to you, but what about your passengers? If it's late at night and dark outside, you might want to warn them about this. Unless it's somebody you don't like or visiting relatives you want to leave. This will get rid of them in a hurry. Part 1 of this video, show and tell, is over. Let's take this out and do some driving. And before you start driving, you need to know there is a drive mode button located down here. It gives you the option of touring, sport, or snow ice mode. And if you want to shift gears yourself manually, paddle shifters are located on the steering wheel where they belong, not on the steering column where they don't belong, as some European cars do. And as we do in all of my videos, we're going to take some mild speed humps at 20 miles per hour. See how the suspension performs on impact. Here comes bump number 1. Pretty smooth. Heard some tire thumping, but didn't reach the cabin. Number 2. Bump number 3. And here comes the nasty one. About the same as the others. This is a pretty comfortable car to drive on the street. so I'm not surprised it did well on the speed humps. And the power steering is a bit lighter than I would like, but it's very quick and responsive, so I'm not complaining. I wasn't expecting much out of this stinky little engine with its low horsepower rating, but it actually does pretty good on the street. Got pretty decent pickup. And lots of bottom end torque. I'm very impressed. Of course, it's only me in the car. If you load the vehicle up with 4 adults and luggage, that could change a bit, but thus far I have no complaints. Can't wait to see what the fuel economy ends up being. Okay, 242 miles of city driving thus far, 22.1 mpg. And I was driving rather briskly and had the air conditioning on full blast, so that's a pretty decent figure compared to the 24 mpg claimed on the window sticker. And the window sticker says we should be getting 26 mpg in mixed commuting. In the 1,793.8 miles we've had this in the fleet, that's exactly what we got. So what's my take on this Buick after a week of driving? As far as the vehicle itself goes, I'm very impressed. This is a very nice ride. A great commuter. GM did a pretty good job developing this. I give it at least 9 out of 10 stars, if we're going to rate at least on the star system. As far as value for the money, well, that's a different thought. Most cars in this class start around $30,000, like this one does, and for that you get a small 4-cylinder engine and 2-wheel drive. But on most other vehicles, when you get up to the $45,000 bracket, they give you a more powerful engine and all-wheel drive. That's not the case here. Here the price jumped up 13 grand, but we're still getting the same base engine and 2-wheel drive. Compared to the competition, that puts it a step behind, I think. And I'm not supposed to say this, I'm sure the Chinese workers in that Buick plant over in China are making a bit less money than the United Auto workers do over here in the USA. So the production cost of this vehicle was probably a bit lower than what you get on the average. That being the case, I'm hoping there's some good rebates coming up on these. For around $38,000, $40,000, yeah, I could live with this. 45 seems a bit steep to me though. Maybe not to you. In the end though, this is a nice vehicle. I would have liked to have kept it longer. So a thumbs up for me.